Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cooking with Bobby. Today my special guest is Becky Turner. What are we going to be cooking today?
So today we're going to be cooking spaghetti carbonara.
Spaghetti carbonara? What is spaghetti carbonara?
It is basically just spaghetti in a cheesy, creamy, bacony sauce.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Everything tastes better with bacon. So, what are we going to need for spaghetti carbonara?
So firstly we've got the spaghetti, and the main components of the sauce are onions, garlic, bacon, mushrooms.
Mushrooms?
We've got milk and cream to go in the sauce and cheese for the cheesiness.
Okay, so what are we going to start with?
We're going to start off with chopping the onion and garlic, as those are the first things to go in a pan. But before we do that, we want to make sure we've got some water on boil. So we'll put the kettle on, make sure that's boiling. We use a bigger pan, because we want to make sure we've got enough water so that the pasta doesn't dry out and use it all up, because it absorbs water and of course the water boils away. We'll just leave this by the hob for now. And so now we want to, whilst that's boiling, chop an onion. I think this is quite a big onion for just a couple of people, so we'll use only half of it.
Only half of it?
So then basically removing the ends first makes removing the rest of the skin, so this brown horrible stuff, a lot easier.
Okay, and we want to keep going until there's no brown layers at all and it's just a nice white onion.
So what we might see as well is some greener bits of the onion. These are often hard, and when they cook, they don't cook as soft, and so they can be quite crunchy, and not everyone likes them. We've got our onion and we need to chop it in half, as we're only going to use half. So to do this, simply place it down on a flat part, one of the ends you've just chopped off. Get the knife and
just
slice
cut it
down the
middle.
middle. Yeah. Would you like to have a go?
Yeah, I would love to have a go. Thank you. We just like straight down the middle. There we go. Slightly wonky, but I'm sure that'll do.
Cool. So the other half of the onion, the half we're not going to use, we'll just put to the side. So the kettle has just boiled, so you might as well put that into a pan.
Okay.
Pour water into the pan. It's good to leave about an inch of the pan left, just so that the water doesn't boil over the top. Otherwise you could get a mess in the kitchen. It's not the most safe thing. So that's on to boil. And also, because we've got onion, we're going to need to cook it whilst the water's boiling. So we'll put the other pan on now before we start chopping it, with some oil in, just to let the oil heat up.
So we're just going to drizzle the bottom of the pan with some oil?
Yep, drizzle the bottom of the pan with some oil.
Okay, I can do that. So is it just enough to sort of cover the bottom of the pan?
That will be plenty.
And then swish it around?
Yep, exactly like that. We're going to put that on another hob ring, but on a very low heat setting.
On a very low heat?
So on number 1. So chopping the onion, we're actually going to chop it into small squares. So we're going to chop it first in one direction, rotate it round and chop it in that direction again. So I normally start with it facing away from me so the slope is round. And just chop it quite thickly, about ½ centimetre in thickness, all the way along the onion. Do you want to carry on?
I can keep doing it.
It's easier if you hold it together as well, then it doesn't all fall apart.
Okay, so I don't want to let any pieces go
No.
after I cut all the way through. Okay.
Excellent.
Does it matter too much if I get the sizes slightly wrong? So
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
So now we'll do the same. We'll just chop down this. That's our onion chopped, and the garlic is going to be cooked at the same time in the pan. So we'll get a clove of garlic out. Now this is a whole garlic. You don't want a whole garlic in your food because that's going to taste really strong.
Yeah, garlic's really strong when it's
Let's get a clove. You can see the ridges in the garlic. That's a clove of garlic.
Okay.
So this here.
Is that peeled in the same way?
Yep, we want to chop the end off first, just to make peeling the rest of it easier. So on the bottom of the garlic, where it's been held in here, there's a really woody bit and it's not nice to eat. So you definitely want to chop that bit off.
Okay, and then the skin just comes straight off after I've cut
that? We're going to chop the garlic really finely, because when you're eating your dinner, you don't want to be eating into a big chunk of garlic, because again, it's really strong. So we're going to do exactly the same as with the onion, but a lot finer slices.
Okay.
So do you want me to demonstrate first?
Yeah, if you'd love to.
We're going to chop very, very fine slices. Now, I always find with chopping garlic, if you're doing it really finely, you want to have your knuckles against the knife, and then that will give you a good estimate as to you not chopping your fingers off and making it really fine. Do you want to try?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, while we're doing this, we don't need to worry about doing anything else, like the spaghetti, no?
That looks fine to me.
Okay.
And the oil is hot, you can feel the heat coming off of that. So now we can just transfer the onions and garlic to the tin.
So you've got to be a bit careful because it might spit a bit.
Yeah, it might spit a bit.
Okay. And we just throw garlic in as well?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just lightly push all that in.
Excellent, and just give it a quick stir. The next thing we need to do is chop some bacon and mushrooms. Whilst you're getting things out of the fridge, I can see that the water on the back hob is nearly boiling, so I'm going to put some spaghetti into it just so it can start to heat up. Now, the amount of spaghetti you want depends on how many people you're cooking for. Normally for one person I'll do a small amount. There we go. So this is probably enough for one person, so there's 2 of us here. So we'll use double the amount. It's very easy to cook because you just put it in a pan and it cooks. You just got to stir it every so often. So that's the spaghetti in the pan. It will soften, and when it softens it will sink into the pan itself. We've got here mushrooms and bacon. Okay. So actually we'll chop the mushrooms first because we don't want to use a knife that's been used to cut meat if we open this up, which is just cling film. Cling film wrapped around a black tub. Oh, okay. Excellent packaging. Okay. But also you don't need mushrooms. Again, with onions, if you don't like onions, don't use onions.
So shall we get chopping some mushrooms?
Yep. So we'll just give them a check over. Any black bits like that that's just come off, we want to get off because they can be gritty and they can hurt.
These black bits like here.
That will probably be fine.
Yeah, do you want me to replace these back in the fridge?
Yep, that would be excellent, thank you. Okay. So we're going to quarter these mushrooms, so chop them in half, rotate and chop them in half again. Okay. It's very simple. I think most of the chopping processes are identical for all of these ingredients.
I know, it's fantastic. Maybe this is why you should do this. You should just line them all up in a row and cut them through all at once.
Maybe if you get a big giant cutting device and go
all the way across. Oh, that'd be awesome.
So that's our mushrooms chopped, and they're actually going to go in the pan at the same time as the bacon. Yeah, maybe we should just pile them up on this.
Just pile them up in the corner.
Yeah, okay. So for the bacon, I normally chop the fat off because I don't like the fat on bacon. I've got these bacon rashers here.
Okay, so how many rashers are we looking at per person?
I normally do 4 rashers of bacon for about 2 people.
4 rashers for 2 people.
So maybe if we take 2 each, then we can
I can take 2.
If you like the fat, by all means leave the fat on, but we are simply going to slice them. So we're going to chop down this way and slice them into about 1 centimetre to 1.5 centimetres. So these want to go in the pan. Now the bacon will still have some fat in it, so that will keep everything from burning to the bottom of the pan. And now we've got that all in, we will stir it again just so it's all mixed up together nicely. And you can see some of these bits aren't cooked as well as the other bits. So that's why we're making sure we stir it all the time so that it all cooks evenly.
So, I mean, we've seen our spaghetti has flopped into the pan and like that's simmering along nicely. How do we sort of start to tell when that's starting to be ready?
So it actually goes soft, so you can probably tell now it's quite sloshy, maybe you can feel it. Oh, I see. So it's quite soft and it's sticking together. The first time I cooked pasta is a funny story because I didn't know you had to use water to boil it. Oh. So I just put it in a pan on heat and it burnt to the bottom. That's looking like it's all cooked now, so what we need to do next is make a roux. Now a roux is basically a sauce thickener. So to do this we need 2 ingredients, butter and flour.
Okay.
So we've got some butter in the fridge.
Yeah, I can grab the butter for you.
And I've got flour in a tub here just because it avoids any spillages in my cupboard. I'm going to just take the lid off this. The first thing we need to do to make this roux is put a knob of butter in the pan. Now a knob is a very silly measurement. I don't know why they call it that. I'm going to say a knob of butter is maybe a bit more than that.
A bit more than that? Oh.
It's just so that we have enough to make sauce and thickener. We're going to carefully transfer this into the pan that the sauce is in. And we're going to use our spoon again just to make sure it's all stirred round. But you can see the butter will start to melt. Yes. And we want all the butter to be melted because the next thing that goes in is the flour. So when we pour the flour in, we want it to be done quite quickly. We're going to gently pour some flour in. Okay. And if you can just stir that in, the milk and the cream. So at first we just put a little bit in and we make sure it's all stirred in. So you'll see pooling effects. That means it's cooking really quickly, so we add some more in and we're going to keep stirring that. So I'm going to just add some cream, make it nice and creamy. And there we go, if we stir that in. carbonara is a cheesy, creamy, bacony sauce. If you're working on your own, then try and stir the sauce and then grate some cheese in and then stir it again after. But as we've got two of us here, one person could be stirring and the other one grating cheese in. It will mix in with the sauce nicely and it will start to melt. So that means our sauce is cooked. We need to now drain the spaghetti off in a colander. So this is all ready to plate up now.
There you go. Okay. Knife and fork each.
Okay.
Right, shall we plate up?
So we just want a bit of spaghetti on each one.
Okay. Oh wow, that is quite. That's very different from when it went in the pan.
Yeah. A lot softer. Sauce, we've turned the hob off and just give it a final stir before adding it onto the plate. So I normally spoon it out.
That absolutely smells fantastic. Okay.
And we'll just put this on the side so that any drip marks stay off the table. And now we eat. Shall
we try it? The moment of truth. See if it's as good as it smells. Oh, absolutely fantastic. I have to applaud your cooking back. It's really good. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you like what you've seen here and would love to give it a go cooking it yourself, all the recipes are on the website. I'll be back next week with a new special guest. I've been Bobby, and this is Becky, and you've been watching StagTV. Now let's tuck in.